Hi guys, it's Mrs. DeLoss again. We are looking at Unit 1 Skills 7 copying segments. So we're going to create congruent figures, but we're also going to create a parallelogram. And I know that doesn't say it up here, but we are. Okay? So the way that we're going to do all of these things is by copying segments. So if we're given segment AB, I want to construct CD such that the two segments are congruent, or again, equal in length. So our steps are listed over here, but I'm just going to say that we're going to start with step 1 by drawing a line that's longer than AB, on which AB will be copied. So I have no idea how long AB is because I haven't measured it yet, but I'm drawing a line that's longer than it. I'm going to put point C somewhere on this line because A will eventually match with C. If I look at this, A comes first, C comes first. I have to measure AB with my compass by putting the center on A and the radius on B. And remember, in skill 1.4 with equilateral triangles, to measure something, you have to show it by making a baby arc. So now I put my center on C, keep that same radius, a baby arc is all we need, to now create point D. So now segment AB is the same length as CD. The two segments are congruent to one another. So that's super simple, right? You're not going to be asked that on a Regents exam, but something you might be asked is to construct a congruent triangle. Now, triangles that are congruent have all sides congruent. When triangles are congruent. So we want to make triangle ABC such that ABC is congruent to DEF, and that little triangle symbol of course means triangle. Now A matches with D. If you need to, stack your letters. Sometimes that's super helpful, and you're going to see that a lot in Unit 4, so you might as well get in the habit of it now. I take those 3 letters, I stack them on top of these 3 letters. So A will eventually be the same as what D is, and B will be the same as what E is, and C will be F. So somewhere on this line, we're going to construct that bottom segment AC, which matches the same length as DF. So I'm going to start by putting A somewhere on that segment. You don't want to put it too far over here because remember that this whole length has to be copied. So I'm going to start by measuring DC, or DF rather, to make AC. And remember, to measure it, you have to have the arc, the little baby arc. So I put it on A, and I swing across, whoop, and this now becomes C. So I have measured AC. What I like to do is cross it off from up above. I've shown that I've measured it, I'm done. Alright, the next one I'm going to measure is DE. So I've got to adjust just ever so slightly. This one happens to be pretty similar in length, but I show the little baby arc for D to E. Because I put my center on D to start, I'm going to now put my center on A to start, because again, D and A match. I'm going to swing this arc a little bit bigger because I don't know where the other arc's going to cross over it. So if I have a long arc, then I give myself a lot of space for the third side to cross over. I've done this one, so I'm crossing it off. And now I'm going to measure F to E. Look at my fingers are cold, so my ring's sliding all around. Okay, D to E. Swing that little baby arc. You should have 3 baby arcs by the time you're done measuring 3 sides of a triangle. And I just had my center on F, which matches with C, so now I'm going to bring it down and put it on C. I'm going to swing a little tiny baby arc across that big arc that I had drawn previously, and this is now B. Remember, I don't want to label with the old labels because that's not what they're asking. They want triangle ABC. And to make this into the triangle, I have to actually connect it. So A connects to B, B connects to C, and it's just my personal preference to outline the final thing with a highlighter or a bright color of some sort, just so that it stands out. That triangle here, ABC, is congruent to this triangle here, DEF, because we copied all the segments. On the back side, we are asked to construct a parallelogram. And this is going to use copying segments, but also making sure that we connect some lines. So you have to have a little bit of background knowledge with this. So our first step is to determine what the order of the letters are. So it says A, B, C, D, so it means A has to connect to B, which then has to connect to C, which then has to connect to D. So I'm actually going to start by connecting A and B if they're not already connected. A connects to B. And then it says B is supposed to connect to C, so now I'm going to connect B to C. Eventually, C has to connect to D. D is the point that we're going to construct to make something called a parallelogram. Well, a parallelogram looks like this, or it could be slanted in the other direction. But if I have A, B connected to C, then C needs to connect to D, so they need to go in a clockwise or counterclockwise order. It doesn't matter which direction you go, but you can't jump around. Okay, you have to go in a complete circle in one direction or the other. And again, this picture could be slanted this way. A, B, C, and then D. Okay, so it looks like I can't make D over here. I have to make D over here so that it can connect down to A. Alright, keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to do is measure our bottom segment AB and copy to make the opposite side. In this case, it would be called opposite of AB is CD. So I'm going to measure AB. Now you'll notice that I'm putting my center on B and opening up to A. I'll show you or explain why in just a second, the reason that I'm doing that. So A is here. Tighten my radius up and swing a little baby arc to show that we've measured. Remember, baby arcs are necessary. Now the reason I did it in this fashion is because now I'm going to slide it up to C. That way I can swing a pretty big arc to eventually find point D. Right? If I had gone in this direction, it would be okay, swing the arc, but then I'd have to turn my compass around anyways to put it on C. So if I just go in the same direction, then it's just an easier movement. Okay? Third step is to repeat, but we're going to measure BC this time and copy to make the opposite side. So opposite of BC, it doesn't matter which picture you look at, opposite of BC is AD. Okay, so we need to copy that segment so then we can copy it here. So I'm going to measure BC. Swing a baby arc. Bring it over to A. Swing that same arc with the same radius, and now I have a point of intersection. That point of intersection, folks, is now called D. And then last but not least, connect. And just double check yourself. Is A connected to B? A to B. B to C. B to C. Now C connects to D, and then D to A would close it up. So I'm going to connect C with D and D back to A. So this figure that we just made is called a parallelogram. In case you didn't know, parallelograms have opposite sides that are both congruent in length and parallel to one another. So if you want to put some extra markings on here, we could put our parallel symbols. If you have a different set of lines that are parallel, you use two symbols. And then we could do the same thing with congruence. I could also say that this is congruent to that side, because we copied them. And this one, 2 hash marks, is congruent to this one, 2 hash marks. Now, do you have to mark all those things up right now? No, but it is good knowledge for our future units. Alright, friends, go ahead and summarize anything that you've learned, and then we will get to practice. Have a good day.